Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Twelfth Night written by William Shakespeare. Shakespeare named this play as Twelfth Night because this was performed on the 12th night of a function, and he begins the play by saying, "If music be the food of love, play on." So the introduction itself tells us that this is a love story, that is it's a romantic play, and the play is set in Illyria, and there we find Duke Orsino. And Duke Orsino is in love with a beautiful lady Olivia, who is also a noble lady, and he is making musicians to play music under the window of Olivia, and he wants her to come out of her sorrow because she is mourning for her brother who has recently died. We find his servant Valentine telling him that Olivia does not return his love, that is, Olivia is not in love with Orsino, and she does not even listen to the messages he is sending her. But Orsino is determined to marry Olivia, and he is prepared to wait for the 7 years which Olivia has promised to mourn. And for that 7 years, she has refused to marry anyone or even meet anyone face to face. But Orsino is a person who loves to be in love, and he feels that the 7 years will be a time when he can really enjoy his love for her. And in the next scene, we are introduced to Viola, who is a noble woman, and she is found in the Illyrian sea coast. She is talking with a captain who has rescued her from a shipwreck, and she was traveling the ship with her twin brother Sebastian, and Sebastian seems to be caught in the storm and is vanished. Now Viola needs to find some support to live in this strange place. So she is asking the ship captain who rescued her about whom she can go and meet in Illyria, and the captain tells her about Duke Orsino and Lady Olivia. At first, Viola expresses a wish to become a servant in the house of Olivia because Viola has also lost her brother recently, and Olivia has also lost her brother in the recent times. But the captain tells her that Olivia will not see any visitors, so there is no chance of Viola meeting her. So Viola has no other go but to go to Duke Orsino. But here she thinks that it will be safe if she goes as a young man, so she decides to disguise herself as a young man and go and meet him. And here in Olivia's garden, we find Olivia talking with her waiting gentlewoman Maria. Maria is a very intelligent woman also. And afterwards, Maria goes and she warns Olivia's uncle, Sir Toby Belch, that Olivia is very angry with him because he is spending most of his time drinking and making a lot of noise. Actually, Sir Toby has brought his friend, Sir Andrew Agichwick, and why he has brought him here is he wants Andrew to marry Olivia, and he thinks since Andrew is very rich, he will be a good match for Olivia. But Sir Andrew tells that Olivia will only choose Orsino because he is very young and handsome. But Sir Toby tells that Olivia will never marry anyone who is above her degree or estate or years or intelligence. And in the next scene, we find that Viola has disguised herself as a young man, and she has kept her name as Cesario, and she joins Duke Orsino. And within 3 days, Cesario becomes a favorite of Orsino, and she becomes a favorite to that extent that Orsino sends his love messages to Olivia through Cesario. And Orsino also says that Cesario can definitely go and meet Olivia because Cesario is young and handsome and resembles a woman. So Olivia will be impressed. And from what Viola says, we can understand that she has fallen desperately in love with Orsino and wants to be his wife. And so we can understand that Viola loves Orsino and Orsino loves Olivia, and Olivia does not love anyone. So this is the situation now. And here in Olivia's house, we see Maria talking with Festi, who is Olivia's clown. And this clown has been missing for a few days. So she says that Olivia is very angry with him. As she is talking, Olivia comes there with her steward Malvalio. And when she sees Festi as expected, she asks him to go out of the house. And Festi is not moved by that, and he asks her why she is mourning. And Olivia says that she is mourning because her brother is dead. And for that, Festi says must be her brother is in hell, and that is why she is mourning. Hearing this, Olivia gets angry and she says, no, my brother is in heaven. And that time Festi says, if your brother is in heaven, why are you mourning? Then you must be a fool to mourn for a brother whose soul is in heaven. And hearing this, Olivia becomes light-hearted and she allows Festi to stay back in the house, but Malvalio does not like Festi. At that time, Maria comes and says that there is a young man waiting at the gate to see Olivia, and Malvalio also goes and sees and comes and reports that this young man refuses to leave until he has spoken with Olivia. And he also reports that this young man is very handsome and delicate looking. Hearing this, Olivia decides to speak with the man who has come to meet her. And the moment Viola comes there, Olivia is impressed by his looks, and she tells him not to say any of the memorized speeches which Orsino has sent. Viola, being a very intelligent lady, immediately starts praising Olivia's great beauty and virtues. Hearing this, Olivia gets fascinated and she starts questioning about Cesario himself. And from her questions, we come to know that Cesario comes from an aristocratic family. Actually, this is the truth because Viola comes from an aristocratic family, and Olivia tells that she does not love Orsino, but she asks Cesario to come the next day to know what was the reaction of Orsino after she has told him that she does not love him. And this she does because she wants to meet Cesario again. And after Cesario has left, Olivia sends Malvalio after him with a ring. And actually this ring is a token of attraction to Cesario, and she tells to Malvalio that Cesario has left it there with her, so she asks him to return it. And in the next scene we find that Antonio and Sebastian are in the coast of Illyria, and Sebastian is the twin brother of Viola, and Antonio has seen him after he was rescued from the shipwreck, and from that time Antonio has been taking care of Sebastian, and in fact Antonio is attracted towards Sebastian. Actually at first Sebastian gives Antonio a false name, but now on seeing how much Antonio is doing for him, Sebastian now decides to tell him the truth, and he wants to tell him about his sister also. At that time Sebastian tells to Antonio that they'll first go into Illyria and he wants to go to Orsino's court. But Antonio says that he has many enemies in Orsino's court, and so he is afraid. But since he does not want to leave Antonio, he decides to follow him to Illyria. And in Olivia's house, we find Malvalio coming to Cesario and giving him the ring that Olivia has given him. And Viola tells Malvalio that she had given that ring as a token of love to Olivia, and that was sent by Orsino, and insists that Olivia only must keep it with her. Malvalio gets angry and he throws the ring on the ground and goes away. And Viola picks up the ring and she knows very well that she has not given any ring to Olivia, and wonders whether Olivia has fallen in love with her. And since she is a woman, she wonders how she is going to solve that, but she thinks she'll decide about it later. And here we find Sir Toby and Sir Andrew. They stay back in the night and they start drinking, and Festi comes there and they ask Festi to sing. Hearing the noise, Maria comes there and she warns them that their noise may anger Olivia and she may send Malvalio. As expected, Malvalio comes there and he warns Sir Toby. And Sir Andrew gets angry and he wants to challenge Malvalio to a duel. But Maria says that she has an idea to play a joke on him. It is said that Malvalio is a Puritan, but he has a big weakness. He thinks that everybody loves him. And Maria says that her handwriting is almost like Olivia's, so she plans to leave letters in the way of Malvalio, and she wants to make him to think that Olivia is in love with him and play a joke on him. And here we find that Orsino is talking with Cesario, and Orsino says that looking at Cesario, he can say that Cesario is in love. And we know that Cesario is actually Viola, and Viola is in love with Orsino. So Cesario agrees that he is in love, and immediately Orsino asks how will that woman look like, and Cesario says that she will look almost like Orsino, and she loves him very much. And Orsino orders Cesario to go again to Olivia and plead his love for her, and this time he gives a jewel to give to Olivia as a present. And in the garden we find Sir Anthony, Sir Andrew and Maria along with another servant of Olivia, Fabian. Now they are prepared to play their joke on Malvalio. Maria has already written the letter and she drops the letter in the garden where Malvalio can see it. As expected, Malvalio sees the letter and reads the letter. And seeing the handwriting, he knows it is from Olivia. And moreover, Maria has sealed the letter with Olivia's sealing ring. So it is confirmed that Olivia has written the letter. And the letter is addressed to the unknown beloved. And it says that the writer is in love with one person, but she wants to keep it a secret from the world. But she wants her lover to know about her love. And the letter is in two parts, and in the first part it says that the identity of a lover is the letters M-O-A-I will be in his name. Seeing this, Malvolio is convinced because these letters are in his name, and he is sure that Olivia loves him. And the message also says that she wants to bring the lover to a better status and to a status of one in par than a steward. And in order to express his love for her, it orders him to wear yellow stockings and wear cross garters and be short-tempered with Sir Toby and rude to the servants and to behave strangely by smiling all the time. Reading this, Malvolio promises to do all this to show his love for Olivia. Actually, it turns out that Olivia hates the color yellow and she can't stand see anyone wearing cross garters and does not want anybody to be smiling around because she is in mourning. And here we find Viola, who is actually come as Cesario, coming to Lady Olivia's house, and now this time she has brought a message from Orsino. And when Olivia sees Cesario, she sends off everyone. And once they are alone, Olivia begs Cesario not to bring any more messages from Orsino. And she also says that she loves Cesario very much. Hearing this, Cesario tells Olivia that she cannot love her. And adding on to it, she says that Cesario can never love any women and make any women as a mistress. Audience will understand why no woman can become Cesario's mistress, because it is not Cesario, it is actually Viola. But Olivia thinks that Cesario is very loyal to his master, and that is why he is saying like this, and she does not want to pressurize him at that time. Here we find Sir Andrew and Sir Toby talking, and Sir Andrew tells Sir Toby that he has seen Olivia fawning over Cesario and is very sure that Olivia loves Cesario. So Sir Toby encourages him to challenge Cesario into a duel and prove his love for Olivia. At that time, Maria comes and reports that Malvolio is doing all foolish things as said in the letter. Here we find Sebastian and Antonio. They come to Illyria, and Antonio knows very well it is not safe for him to be in Illyria because all the Duke Orsino's men are hostile to him. And the reason is, some time ago, Antonio was involved in a sea fight, and that fight had caused a lot of damage to Orsino. But his love for Sebastian made him to come along with Sebastian to Illyria. Once they come to Illyria, they agree that Antonio will find a lodging for two of them, while Sebastian will go around the town. Knowing that Sebastian has no money, Antonio gives him his purse and asks him to buy anything if he wants. And they agree that they will meet each other in the inn after an hour. Here we find Malvolio wearing cross garters and yellow stockings and smiling foolishly. He comes near Olivia and quotes the lines from Olivia's letter. But since Olivia has not actually written the letter, she does not recognize what he is saying, and she thinks that he has gone mad. At that time, the news arrives that Cesario has come, and in order to meet Cesario, she asks Maria and Sir Toby to take care of Malvolio, and she goes off to see Cesario. And here what happens is, Sir Toby, Phoebe and Maria, they talk with Malvolio and they pretend that he is possessed by devil, and so they take him and lock him in a dark room. Here Olivia, she meets Cesario and gives him a locket which has a picture on it as a love token. And then she goes back inside. Seeing all this, Sir Toby comes and he talks with Cesario and tells him that Sir Andrews is challenging him for a fight. But Cesario, who is actually Viola, says that she does not wish to fight. But at that time, Andrew comes and he draws his sword and prepares for the fight. So Cesario has no other way but to draw her sword. At that time, Antonio comes there, and when he sees Cesario, he thinks it's Sebastian. So he tells Andrew that he will fight instead of Sebastian now. As they are preparing for the fight, the Illyrian officers come there, and the moment they see Antonio, they recognize him and they arrest him. Now Antonio knows that he has to pay money for the bail bond, so he asks Cesario to return his purse. But it is actually Viola, and she does not know who Antonio is. So she tells him that she has no idea what he is talking about, and in fact she does not know who Antonio is. Hearing this, Antonio becomes heartbroken and he thinks that Sebastian has betrayed him. But hearing the name Sebastian, now Viola gets a hope that her brother is in fact alive and she runs off looking for him. And Sir Andrew and Sir Toby are left confused. Now Feste, who is walking in the road, sees Sebastian in the streets of Illyria and he invites him to Olivia's place. And here what happens is, on seeing him, Sir Andrew attacks him. And Sebastian, being a good warrior, he beats Sir Andrew with his dagger. At that time, Olivia enters and she sees Sir Toby also preparing to fight with Cesario. So she stops the fight and she begs Cesario to come into her house. Sebastian is really confused by what is happening, but he follows her. And here we find Maria asking Feste to put on the robes of the clergymen and pretend to be Sir Topaz, who is a priest, and talk to Malvalio. And when Feste talks as a priest to Malvalio, Malvalio begs him to get him out of the locked room. But Feste says that Malvalio is mad because the room is full of light, but he is saying it is dark. So he says you are mad and you have to remain in that room only. But now Sir Toby is worried whether Olivia will get very angry with him for playing this joke. So he sends Feste back to Malvalio. And this time Malvalio swears that he is not crazy and he asks for paper, ink and light so that he can write a letter to Olivia. And here we find Olivia giving presents to Sebastian and she expresses her love to marry him. And hearing this, Sebastian wants to meet and tell about all this to Antonio. And Olivia, who does not want to waste any time, she goes to get a priest and she comes along with a priest and asks Sebastian if he is still willing to marry her. And Sebastian, who is very happy on such a beautiful and rich woman asking her to marry him, he agrees and they get married. Now we find Orsino coming to Olivia's house and he comes along with Viola and his men. At that time, the Illyrian officers come dragging Antonio, and Orsino recognizes Antonio as an honorable enemy and he asks Antonio how he came into his territory. For this, Antonio says that he rescued Sebastian after a shipwreck and he has been protecting Sebastian. And since Sebastian came to Illyria, he also came there. But now Sebastian has stolen his purse and he is also denying knowing him. And really, Orsino is shocked on hearing this. At that time, Olivia enters and seeing Cesario there, she talks to him because only now they are married. Hearing that Cesario has married Olivia, Orsino gets angry and threatens to kill him. But Viola says that she loves only him and no one else. When Olivia hears this, she is shocked because she feels her spouse has betrayed her. So she calls a priest and the priest says that he has just married both of them. And hearing all this, Orsino gets angry and he orders Olivia and Cesario to leave the place. At that time, Sir Andrews comes and actually is injured. And he says that he and Sir Toby had a fight with Cesario. And Viola, listening to all this, she says she is not responsible for all this and she is not involved in any fight with anyone. Olivia, seeing them injured, she asks them to go for medical attention. As all this is going around, Sebastian appears in the scene and seeing Olivia, he runs to her and apologizes for beating up both Sir Toby and Sir Andrew. And seeing Antonio there, Sebastian is so happy that he cries out and everyone around, they stare at Sebastian and Viola because both of them look alike. Now Sebastian and Viola, they ask questions about each other about their family, and finally they understand it is Viola and Sebastian there. And Viola tells Sebastian to wait till she puts on a woman's clothes, and now everyone realizes that Cesario is not a man but a woman. Now Orsino, realizing that Olivia has married Sebastian, turns to Viola and reminds her that she has often said that she loves him. And Viola says that love is still same and she still loves him. And she tells him that she will wear her clothes which are hidden with the sea captain. And this sea captain has now taken service with Malvalio. At that time, Feste and Fabian, they come with Malvalio's letter. And in Malvalio's letter, he writes clearly about Olivia's letter and explains his behavior and says that he is not mad. And now Olivia orders for Malvalio. And Malvalio comes there and he gives the letter which he has seen. And Olivia recognizes Maria's handwriting. Now Fabian explains why they played the trick on Malvalio. And he also mentions that Sir Toby has married Maria. At that time, Malvalio vows revenge and he leaves the place. Seeing all this, Orsino wants to enjoy their happiness together. So he announces that a double wedding will take place shortly, and they all leave the place, and Festi sings about growing up and growing old, and the play ends with this. It's a beautiful play written by Shakespeare. If you want to add on anything to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. Thank you.